Hello beautiful artists and welcome to Messy May. I'm Claudette Hasenjager and today I'm going to be taking you through the process of selecting my supplies for this dailyish challenge. I have definitely found that putting a little kit together before the challenge starts helps me to show up to my practice, especially if it's something that I'm trying to do every day. It just takes away the pressure of having to decide on supplies and colors every single day. And it also creates a beautiful color story throughout your journal, which I always love looking back on. So I'm going to show you how I put together this kit, and I would like you to remember that if something's not working for you and you haven't really used it or it's not speaking to you and you're already on day 6, 7 or 8, you're welcome to take it out and replace it with something else. And the kit doesn't mean that these are the only things that you're allowed to use. If you get to a day and you really need an ink that you haven't put into your kit, go and pull it out and use it. This is just a jumping off point. This doesn't mean that these are the only things that you are restricted to. It just means that you've got a base to work from. So I hope that you enjoy seeing how I think about putting this kit together, and hopefully you are inspired to try doing something similar too. This is the box that I'm going to be using for the Messy May challenge. I love having boxes and baskets for my projects because it means that at the end of the day I can pack everything in there and put it away and have a nice clean space to return to the following day. That really helps me with not feeling overwhelmed by doing something on a daily basis. So I have chosen a color palette for myself. And these are paints that I had mixed quite a while ago, and you'll see that there's not much left in some of them. So I'm hoping that this challenge is going to help me to use up the last of these colors so that I can create a new fresh palette for myself. Also, because there's not a lot of paint left in some of these, I'm going to add in some new paints that I bought. And ironically, they are very similar to the colors that I've got. So this was going to be my new palette. And it is basically the same as my old palette. So I'm going to have to push myself a little bit, I think, and get out of my comfort zone really soon. But I do like the fact that I can substitute these colors in the journal if I sort of start running low on some of them. So they're not exact. Like these two, I love that I've got a dark and a light option. With the greens, the same thing. And then for the yellows, I've got a little bit left of the brighter yellow and of the mustardy yellow. So I'm going to be using these colors as my jumping off point for choosing any other supplies, and hopefully also using up the paint that I have already mixed. So one of the things that I think about when I'm putting this kit together is what are supplies that I cannot live without. And at the moment for me that would be acrylic paints, but also paper. So I've pulled a few little pieces of paper. This is the little stack that I have got for the month. And I'm going to try and keep myself limited to these little scraps. So that's definitely going into my supply kit. Something else that I thought about is what is the feeling that I would like to have as I'm creating. And for me, that was something that was really fast, loose, fun, and free. And to achieve that, I immediately thought of using Stabilo Woody pencils. So I've pulled out this sort of neutral pencil, and then I have pulled some of these We Are Makers markers. They are really creamy and instant, so I love these. Something else that I thought would work very well in this category is the Tim Holtz Distress crayons. So these are the supplies that I've got pulled for really freeing instant mark making. China markers is another one that has that chunky feeling for me. So I'm going to put these into my little pencil bag, ready to be used. Then I thought about what are supplies that I've had for a really long time, but either not used at all or haven't used very often. And those were these Jane Davenport markers. I have had them for the longest time, but haven't used them in any projects. So I'm going to try and challenge myself and use these in some way during the month of May. Something else that I thought I would include as seldomly used supplies would be my soft pastels. So I've chosen a green and a Payne's grey, and then I've pulled a few oil pastels. They are really supplies that I love but hardly ever use. And then I've got Neocolor 2s. Something that I'm really loving at the moment and am drawn to more and more is inks and sprays. Again, a supply that I've had for a really long time, but I didn't enjoy them, and now I just can't create a spread without them. So I decided to go with the Distress Oxide spray and a glossy spray. And why I chose these two was because this one resists a lot of supplies and this one is water reactive. So I love that these are going to create different effects on my page when they are interacting with other supplies. So I'm really thinking about how can I create interest for myself on the spread with the supplies that I'm using. Then I thought I need something bright because these are really pastel colors that I've chosen and I need a pop of excitement in my life. So I decided to use some fluoro red as an accent color, and I went and got some acrylic paint, some spray paint and some thread as my accent color, and then I can use these in a variety of ways throughout my spreads. I decided that I would add a few watercolors because I'm sure somewhere along the line we're going to have a prompt with watercolors. And then for finer details, I decided a supply that I am absolutely loving at the moment would be my jelly roll pens. Another supply that I've had for the longest time, but all of a sudden my love for them has been reignited. And I think that including supplies that you haven't used very often is a great way to reconnect to those supplies and to rekindle your love affair with them. So I've added some jelly rolls in my color scheme, and then I've got some paint pens because I mean mark making is definitely going to be a part of this, right? I've got my Signo Uniball Broad, my favorite black pen, and then I decided I would include some water soluble pencils into my supply. So I've got some soft pastels in light bright colors and then a sort of dark navy. I've got a really soft charcoal pencil which I love when it gets mushed in with other supplies, and then a Stabilo all in white just to add some white detailing because I don't have a lot of white in the other supplies that I've chosen. And then last but not least is your journal. So this journal I created in 2022 and I still haven't had a chance to use it. And I think it is going to be the perfect opportunity to fill this little cutie up. And I love the square format, so I'm really looking forward to working in something a little different. So there we go. That is the box. Everything fits in. And then I've got a little encouraging message here for myself. Everything you need is inside. That's inside the box and inside yourself. I love documenting my color palette at the start of my journal. So this is just a postcard that was sent in some happy mail. I've gessoed over the writing a little, and I am going to document some of the colors that I've chosen for my color palette. There we have it. These are the supplies that I'm going to be using for this challenge. I can't wait to see what you choose to put into your kit. And I hope that you have an amazing Messy May.